Welcome to the show. Everybody is Dee. I'm glad you're here. Let's get into some things. I hope you're ready, cause this is what I do. It's all about different perspectives in here. Where you gon' get the real, no BS in here. We keep it real as we can. You can tell your truth and feel comfortable here. DeeDee's reactions, videos and live things. DeeDee's reactions, she's about to put on a show. These reactions, just to let you know, like, share, subscribe. We about to go live. It's DeeDee's reactions. Keep it real, keep it DeeDee's reactions. What you gon' do? DeeDee's reactions. We about to go live. Subscribe. We about to go live. It's DeeDee's reactions. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh.
What up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to another live stream. Listen, I hope you guys are doing well. Listen, as you come into the building, make sure you hit the like button, y'all. Y'all, this is an impromptu live stream, y'all. Listen, as you come into the building, make sure you hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Yeah, I want to discuss, what's going on in the media, you guys. This whole uh situation of the Chinese clerk who basically just got off for, deleting a 14-year-old. I want to know your thoughts on this one. I definitely want to get your thoughts. Listen, as you come into the building, make sure you are thumbsing up the live stream. Make sure you are thumbsing up the live stream as you come into the building, y'all. Also, if you're new to the channel and you like the content but you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It is free to subscribe. Also, one in the chat if y'all can hear me good. One in the chat if the audio is good. One in the chat if the audio is good. Audio is good? Okay. But I want to talk about this real quick. I'm not going to keep y'all too long. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Sunday. I hope y'all enjoyed your weekend. But I want to get your thoughts on this. So make sure you chime in the chat. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this whole situation because, I have my opinion on it and I see a lot of conflicting opinions on this whole situation as well. A lot of people who have, different perspective or different thoughts on these situations. So I want to talk about and give my little insight on the whole situation of this Chinese clerk who was just found not guilty after, shooting this 14-year-old kid for allegedly stealing from his store. And so I want to talk about it, y'all. And also we're going to get in and get into a little bit of the whole Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony situation as well, because that trial has begun, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding this, and a lot of backlash and different opinions on the situation. And so I definitely want to hear from y'all. I want to hear your thoughts on all of this, but I want to get into this video that was posted by a channel called I'm Not a Lawyer, but and she's speaking on this whole Cyrus Carmack Belton verdict of not guilty. This is the young man's name. This incident occurred, you guys, about 3 years ago. This happened May 28th of 2023, and it's went to trial. And the Chinese guy, who him and his son basically chased this guy out of the store, this young man out of the store, ended up shooting him in the back. And he has a not guilty verdict, and there's a lot of backlash on that verdict. But I want to get y'all thoughts on it. What's going on? No Perspective, how are you? Also, what's going on, Kennard the DJ? I hope y'all are doing well. Listen, definitely chime in on the situation, y'all. Hit the like button as you come into the building. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can support via Super Chat or Cash App so that your questions can get read, or if you have any concerns or any. But anyway, hit the like button as you come in. Listen to this clip right here, you guys, as we get into it. Here we go. So I don't know why it's not coming up. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull up this clip.
14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton, and on May 28, 2023, he walked into a Shell gas station in Columbia, South Carolina, and almost immediately after entering, he was told by one of the owners to place his bag at the front of the store because it was store policy. But after that, the owner proceeded to follow him around as he shopped, eventually accusing him of stealing some waters. So the woman's husband, whose name is Rick Chow, and their adult son, whose name is Andy Chow, proceed to chase Cyrus Belton for 130 yards. As Cyrus is running, he ends up dropping his cell phone, he runs out of his shoes, he drops his backpack and trips a couple of times. This is a video of the path Cyrus ran and Rick and Andy followed behind. Now, as this chase is happening, a number of people who were driving in the area start to take notice, particularly the two women in this BMW video.
I had pulled onto the lot and I stopped. At that point, I saw them, Cyrus run across the street, them chasing him. I saw Cyrus trip, and he got up, and I was excited because I wanted him to continue running, but he didn't get up straight up. I thought he tripped again, and he went down. Then I drove down there when I stopped and asked if they.
Now, I want to say this. Shouldn't this should have been considered the fact that they chased this young boy so far? I thought in these types of situations, you're supposed to call the police. You're supposed to call the authorities, and that the authorities even tell you not to pursue a criminal or not to pursue a person that, you know, once they've left the store, like you don't supposed to pursue them. You call the authorities and you report the situation and you file a claim. Am I wrong for thinking that? I just thought it was a bit excessive to chase him that far and then end up shooting him, and that's okay. I keep thinking like, okay, yeah, he was in the store. They showed him over there. Looks like he was trying to steal. It looks like that. Okay. But then he ends up leaving. But y'all run behind him. Both of y'all not only chase him down, but then y'all take him out. Y'all kill him. And that is considered, that's okay. I can't help but to think that if this was a white boy, if this was a 14-year-old white boy, and these individuals, these Chinese man and his son, chased a white boy, 14-year-old, down the street, ran behind him, chased him down, shot him down, nobody would be talking. He would be in jail. He would have been found guilty. You pursued this guy after he's allegedly they say he stole water, and that's okay. It's okay. I mean, what's y'all thoughts on it? Let's continue.
Needed help. Was everything okay? So Mr. Chow was in a shooting set where he's standing upright with his legs, and he had his arms like this.
We pulled into the gas station. As we were pulling in, Cyrus was running out and behind Cyrus was his son and Mr. Chow. So Cyrus was running out, his shoe came off. He was pumping his arms and holding his pants with the other arm. He crossed the street and he tripped over the curb. At that time, he got back up. I see Mr. Chow step out. He had his arms up. And then we see Cyrus fall again to the ground. He kind of like crawled, basically, to the place where he passed.
Somewhere in here.
Yes, he was on his way back up. Mr. Chow was already like this.
Did you see Cyrus Carmack Belton turn around at any point?
No.
Did you see him point anything at Rick Chow or Andy Chow at any point?
No.
And then the driver of this white car testifies about what he saw.
Okay, so when he fell after he had got across the street.
Okay.
It was something over there that it looked like he had to trip up over or something. The first fall was real hard.
Okay.
Yeah, he tried to get back up, but it was more so of a stumble versus him standing straight up.
Okay.
It's like he stood up almost all the way up completely. He maybe took a step, if that, and that's when he shot.
Okay. But he fell towards the grass.
Yeah.
All right. And at this point, when he trips, where's Rick Chow? Can you point where he is?
He's like right behind. So if Cyrus trips up in here, Rick Chow.
All right. Did you ever see Rick Chow out here in the road?
No.
Did you ever see Andy Chow out here in the road?
No.
Cyrus fell right here. You saw Rick and Andy side by side. I think you said this kind of area.
Yeah.
And then there was one more eyewitness whose car wasn't caught on the video surveillance because she was coming the opposite way because she was leaving from her apartment.
I seen a young man running. I heard a pop sound, and my aunt, we said, "What is that?" We saw the young man go down to the ground, and we saw the older man had a gun in his hand pointed in a gun stance. My aunt said, "I just want to make sure we're seeing what we see," so we drove out real slow, and we still see Cyrus on the ground. Looked like he was trying to push himself up, like how somebody's doing push-ups, but they're shaking really bad, and he propped back down on the ground and started banging on the ground like in pain. And then my aunt, she said, "We need to get out of here." So we drove up to an empty parking lot near where the old Columbia Mall is at. And 911 had me on hold for a long time, so we hung up and we called again.
As a result of being shot in the back, 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton passes away, and Rick Chow is arrested and charged with murder. But Rick Chow's defense is that this isn't murder. He says it was actually self-defense or in defense of his son, Andy. And so that is what the heart of this case is all about, murder or self-defense. And that's because it turns out that 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton was carrying a firearm that day. But what Cyrus did with that firearm is what's in dispute. According to prosecutors, Cyrus didn't pull out his firearm. It fell out of his pocket when he fell.
The evidence will show that after they chased him out of his chute, dropping phones around down Springtree Road, after he tripped over a curb, fell, dropped his backpack, we believe that gun spilled out of that pocket. And within moments after that gun spilled out of that pocket, that man shot Cyrus Carmack Belton in the back with a .45 caliber pistol.
But the defense, on the other hand, says Cyrus pointed that gun.
Mr. Belton pointed the gun at Andy Chow. Andy yelled out, "He's got a gun." Mr. Chow told him, "Drop it. Mr. Chow is coming up." Pulls his gun down. At that moment, at that split second, that frozen moment.
So the young boy was running for his life, turned around and said, and pointed a gun at him, and then kept running. So that's a he say she say situation, right? There's no proof that he turned around and pointed a gun at him. He said, "Put it out while you running." So he pointed a gun at you while he running for his life. Two men are running after him, and he turned around, pointed his gun at y'all, then kept running. Why y'all running behind him? First off, I mean, first off, you shouldn't be pursuing him. Even once again, 911 operators will tell you not to pursue a dangerous person. right? They would advise you not to pursue a potentially dangerous person. So why y'all pursuing him, and then y'all realize, oh, he got a gun, he pointed at you, and then you start shooting him while y'all chasing him. So he turned around running for his life, dropping his bag, his phone, dropping everything. His shoe came off, and he had time to turn around and point the gun at y'all. All right.
Rick Chow sees a young man pointing a semi-automatic pistol at his son, who's backing up with his hands up, and Rick Chow fires his gun to protect his son. We submit to you that that was reasonable. It was a reasonable impression that his son was possibly going to get seriously injured or die at the hands of somebody who had a gun pointed at him. That was a reasonable belief.
But why was y'all chasing a dangerous person once again? If you had not pursued him for possibly stealing a water, and you have called the police, and you could have gave a description, and of course y'all have cameras because y'all have everything recorded, you could have reported him to the police, said, oh, he was potentially stealing. We don't want him to come back to the store. This is what he looks like. Here's the camera footage. But you pursued somebody who you thought was dangerous, and then you're running behind him, and he has a gun, and then like, come on, why would you? First off, you shouldn't have pursued him. That's not how you. This is crazy, y'all. I'm mind blown as well. I'm like, dang. Now listen. Let's just listen to the rest of this, because I have my opinions, and y'all let me know your thoughts on this. Maybe you see it differently. I want to hear. Let me know. There's no wrong answers. Have your thoughts. I want to hear what y'all. But that's just how I'm feeling about it. Child. Let's continue.
And he fired his weapon under the law in defense of his son.
So again, that's the issue for jurors to determine. And in an effort to prove their side beyond a reasonable doubt, prosecutors ask all of the eyewitnesses if they ever seen a gun in Cyrus's hands.
As you, your daughter, and grandkids were in that parking lot, you watched Cyrus run by. What, if anything, was in his hands?
I saw his backpack on his back, but I didn't see anything in his hand.
And as he ran down Spring Street, what was in his hands?
I didn't see anything in his hand.
And as he fell multiple times, what was in his hands?
I didn't see anything in his hand.
And from your vantage point, you feel certain you would have seen if something was in his hands?
Yes.
Did you see a gun in Cyrus's hand at any point in time?
No.
Did you see anything in his hand at this point?
No.
All right.
Did you see the young man carrying anything?
No.
The testimony under oath is nobody told you that night that Cyrus pointed a gun at him.
Yes, sir. No one told me that.
And just for the sake of confirmation, here is the medical examiner confirming where Cyrus was shot.
The location of the wound on his back, say that one more time.
It was on his kind of right back area, just below kind of mid-back. That's the projectile, and you can see the shadow of his heart just above that.
This is his heart?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not immediately fatal. Those are more, and he would not lose consciousness immediately. Those are more with wounds to the head. So with a heart wound, maybe a minute or two, he could have, there's been reports of people being able to run with the adrenaline in their system, but not far. They collapse pretty quickly because the blood, every heartbeat is the blood's coming out of their heart and not circulating.
Okay, now the defense on the other side is making every effort they can to show that what Rick Chow did that day was in self-defense. And so they start off by highlighting why Cyrus had a gun in the first place.
Is why a 14-year-old would be illegally possessing a semi-automatic pistol, wandering the streets with that pistol, with a laser attached to that pistol. A laser to go ahead and ensure better accuracy when you fire the weapon. Because if he didn't have that weapon, he never would have had a weapon to draw on Andy Chow. He never would have had a weapon to put Andy Chow in danger. And he never would have had a weapon that would caused Mr. Child to believe his.
Well, I mean, we could all now the case is over. This man is found not guilty. He's going to go home, and this young man lost his life, which is all of this is unfortunate. All of these situations are unfortunate, but you got to also ask the question: is what I would wonder? Why did they chase him? If they hadn't chased him, none of this would have happened. If he had followed the proper protocols, none of this would have happened. And they didn't know if he had a gun or not, but they still chased him. Two guys, the father and the son. So two men chasing a 14-year-old. So why are you chasing a minor? Whether he had a gun or not, we could argue that it could have been the Mr. Child's intention to shoot this man because Mr. Child had a gun. You don't know if the little boy had a gun or not, but they had a gun. Either him and maybe his son as well. So how are you protecting your son when you and your son are the ones pursuing a 14-year-old? It seems to me like a 14-year-old seems to me like the 14-year-old is at a disadvantage either way. Because whether he had a gun or not, they didn't know that until allegedly down the line, y'all saying he pointed at you and then you shot him. Y'all would have shot him anyway. Y'all are chasing him. Why are you chasing him? The assumption would be that you're chasing him to do bodily harm to him, right? Am I tripping or not? If I'm running behind somebody and it's two of us, he's running for his life. You would assume that he could assume that they're coming to hurt me because they think I stole something from the shop. Now, if you stole something from the shop, you shouldn't have been doing that. If you stole waters from their shop, you're in the wrong for stealing. There needed to be consequences, but should he have been shot in the back for allegedly stealing water? That's enough justification to take a 14-year-old, that's a child's life by shooting him in the back of potentially stealing water. That's okay. He didn't shoot nobody. I can see if he pulled the gun out in the store. There was no evidence or anybody claiming that he pulled a gun out in the store and brandished the gun in the store. Because then if they had shot him in the store, that would have made more sense to me. He was leaving the store and y'all pursued him and then shot him down. Something about this just don't seem right to me. It don't seem right to me, y'all. I'm just saying, I'm not condoning him stealing out of the store. But it doesn't seem right to me that it was okay for them to hunt him down and shoot him and just claim, he pulled a gun out and he didn't shoot us, but he just showed us a gun and we fear for our lives, but y'all running behind him. Make that make sense. You fear for your life, but y'all chasing him. Wouldn't he be the one fearing for his life? That two grown men are chasing him. And if he did it would make sense. You're defending yourself. You're fearing for your life. I don't know. I'm trying to pull up your super chat, Classy. I don't know. This is crazy, y'all. I don't know. Now, remember, this happened in 2023. Classy Young Man 35. Thank you for the super chat, Classy. Says, people thought I was defending the Childs when I asked before Cyrus came across the Childs in the store, why did he have a gun at 14 years old when it's illegal? So people thought you were defending the Childs when you asked before Cyrus came across the Childs in the store, why did the 14-year-old have an illegal gun? Yeah, he the gun he had was illegal. He had all this stuff. He shouldn't have been walking around with a illegal gun. He shouldn't have been. He really shouldn't have been. And I think this is why all of this is unfortunate, that this young man was shot like and killed like this. But at the same time, it's unfortunate that he in his life ended this way, but you got to ask yourself, why was he walking around with this gun? This did not help him. And then why was he in the store attempting or to steal? Like, this could have been avoided if he had just came in the store, purchased his water or whatever he had, got his book back and got on and went about his business. He would still be alive. So you have to be accountable for your actions as well. You can't go around doing crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we can't ignore it on either side. You know, this is why I say, look, you got to be accountable for what you do. So if he had just came in that store, got his water, paid for his stuff, got the hell up out of there, he would be alive. And this is why I say sometimes if you know that you are a target, if you know that people are already looking at you as the villain, don't give them what they're looking for, because it may not end up well for you. So there's definitely that part as well. Thank you, Classy, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. I don't know why I can't remove. But this was crazy. Let's continue.
Son was going to be shot and have to make a split-second decision. Split-second decision.
They also claim that even though Cyrus did not steal anything, it was reasonable for the Chows to believe he did.
Why was he running? Why did he run? He did increase the suspicion at that point by running. And he really ran fast because he ran out of one of his shoes. Now, reasonable to believe that he may have taken something? Absolutely. Reasonable to go ahead and follow him to see where he was going, in what direction, so he could tell the police? Absolutely. And he wasn't going to tackle him, he wasn't going to hold him, he wanted to see where he was going. Rick Chow, the defendant in this case, ran following his son and Mr. Carmack Belton because he was trying to see what was going on with his son, protect his son, make sure his son was okay. He did not know what was going on. He had nothing to do with the determination in the store.
Now, me personally, I don't think it was reasonable to run behind him, both you and your son. You and your son both ran behind him. You should have instructed your son not to do that, and neither one of you didn't have to run behind him over him stealing some water. Like that, to me, that was not reasonable to see a direction he's going. For what? Why? Y'all have video, there's video evidence of him coming into the store, leaving the store. If you wanted to give a description to the police, you could have. You didn't have to follow him. You really didn't. You didn't have to follow him. It wasn't reasonable. It wasn't reasonable to me to follow him and chase him and run behind him. Run behind him, not just y'all ran behind him. That wasn't reasonable in my opinion. You had cameras. We saw him come in, leave out, and all of that. So I don't know if they should have done that. I even if you call 911, they will tell you do not apprehend the person. You're supposed to call the authorities. You know what I mean? But yeah, this was great. But let's finish the rest of this.
He was going out there to protect his son, to make sure his son was okay. It's his son.
The defense also attempts to poke holes in the testimony of the eyewitnesses.
You remember telling the dispatcher that you believed he might have stolen something.
That's what was being said. Yes, I said that. I was processing. I didn't want to be involved. When my mom stopped the vehicle, I told her to keep going because I did not want to be involved. My mom called 911 and she handed me the phone. Okay. We had the windows rolled up, and so it was muffled.
And when we talked to the 911 operator, do you remember specifically telling him you did not actually see the shooting?
I stated in my 911 call, I said, I think I saw it, and then my aunt was behind me, as you can hear in the 911 call. She said, no, Jasmine, he did shoot that boy, and I said, yes, he did.
And then when the officer, whatever they call those 911 officers, they asked you a question. Did you see him shoot the boy, or did you just hear the gun go off? And your response was, we just heard the gun go off, and then we happened to see the owner pointing the gun at the boy while he was on the ground. Do you remember that?
Correct.
It's not okay, is it? It's not okay?
I didn't say that it was okay for a child to have a gun. I never said that.
And then let me follow that up with that question. It's not okay, is it?
I mean, it depends on what point you come from. I don't.
Please explain. What point would make it okay for somebody under the age of 15 to possess a firearm?
I mean, I wouldn't know.
Well, you do know. You just said it depends. So let the jury know, based upon the questions from the state and your answer, when is it okay for someone under the age of 14 or a child to have a gun?
I mean, I wouldn't know. I mean, everybody had their own viewpoint of it. That's why I say it depends.
And when the lead detective testifies, the defense asks him if he found Cyrus's behavior in the store to be suspicious.
And so you saw the young man put water bottles in, put water bottles back out several times, or twice maybe, I think.
Well, he took them out and then put them back.
And you thought there was nothing peculiar about this?
No.
Cyrus Belton went into the store with a firearm.
He did.
It was illegal for him to walk into the store with a firearm.
It was illegal.
Through your investigation, you found no money or payment ability for Cyrus to pay for anything in that store.
Did not.
The book bag you found had nothing inside of the book bag.
There's some papers in there, but essentially, no.
Your testimony is there was nothing strange that you thought of going inside of that store with nothing in it.
Correct.
And then finally, you have testified, we may disagree with it, we may not like it, but you would agree it is not against the law to follow and or chase somebody from leaving from the store.
Not against the law, but once again, use and exercise common sense. The firearm being on him is the only thing that I would find that would be not right.
And then finally, in order to establish that the firearm did belong to Cyrus, the defense shows a picture Cyrus posted on his Instagram the night before the incident. He's wearing the same hoodie, holding the same firearm, and the firearm has a laser light on it that was also found at the scene.
So is that, from your example, from looking at defense exhibit number 1, is that the light that was on the firearm that was found on scene that day?
It appears to be.
And that would be the firearm that we believe is in state's exhibit number 11.
Yes.
So again, through the course of your investigation, do you not find it strange, weird, peculiar that on the day before this, or within 24 hours, this is posted and then he goes into the store through your investigation?
You shouldn't have had a gun, period.
Okay, that's the recap for day 1 and day 2. The defense is up on day 3 to present their side of the case. So we will see if Rick Chow himself testifies and if his son Andy will testify. Also, over some water is crazy.
Yeah, this was a lot over water. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't agree, with the gun. Like, why, and I would question.
This is 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton, and on May 28, 2023, he walked into a Shell gas station in Columbia, South Carolina, and almost immediately after entering, he was told by one of the owners to place his bag at the front of the store because it was store policy. Bag at the front of the store because it was store policy.
My thing is, I don't understand why he would have a gun at 14. Where's your father? Where are your parents? Like, why do you have a gun at 14 with a laser and all of this on it, and you walking around with it, taking pictures of? Like, that's crazy. Like something is off there. I think that's a problem. And that, of course, probably. Yeah, of course, we know that added to why they ended up, this man ended up getting not guilty. He shouldn't have had a gun. That clearly there was the major part of the problem. 14 years old walking around with a gun with a laser, that's crazy. And then you going in places with that. And now your life is taken mainly because of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just diabolical. And this is why, young people got to do better. Parents got to do better, because there's no way your 14-year-old should be brandishing a gun online or anywhere, walking around with a gun with a laser. That's crazy. And that's part of the reason why his life was taken away, because they used that very gun to say, oh, he pointed it, whether he did it or not, because there's no real proof that he pointed it at them or not. But the fact that you're going in the store, you got a gun that you shouldn't have, and then you're doing something crazy, and then you get chased and get shot and killed. And I mean, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. Whether I believe exactly what went down and whether I think that this case, it was mishandled, or this young man shouldn't have been killed like that, all of that will go out the window when they look at all of this. And this is why this man got off, because why is you as a 14-year-old, walking around with a gun, illegal. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is why I say we got to do better. Young people got to do better. Parents got to do better with monitoring your kids and making sure they're doing the right things, because it's costing them their lives. It's costing them their lives. I still think, and this is just my opinion, y'all can let me know, if this was a white 14-year-old boy, I don't think they would have chased him down. I don't think the Chinese man and his son would have chased him down and shot him. I don't think that would have happened that way. But once again, if you know as a black person you are a target, why do you do stupid stuff? Why do you put yourself in harm's way? Why you're not thinking about your actions and the consequences that may be associated with it? Now, in this case, I can't fully just take up for the young man. Unfortunately, his life was taken. But because you did something crazy, and there's no excuse. There's just no excuse for what he did, and here we are. People could get mad all they want, but this didn't make any sense. The whole situation didn't make any sense, y'all. And so you have to be accountable for your actions. I'm trying to pull up the super chats. I don't know why it's not doing it, y'all. I'm trying, and I'm having an issue here. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. What's going on? It's coming up, but then it won't come up. I don't know if there's a glitch. But Night Call 411, thank you for the super chat, says, stand your ground. Fear for your life laws. Blame is shared. Blame is shared. If people self-deputize out of fear, what do you think long-term effects would be? Right. I mean, I'm just saying, I think, so stand your ground, fear for your life laws. Blame is shared. If people self-deputize out of fear, what do you think long-term effects would be? Thank you, Night Call. I appreciate you for the support. This is crazy. It's interesting to me though how some people fear for their lives in pursuit of somebody. Like if I fear for my life, I'm not going after the perpetrator. It would be running from the perpetrator. I would not be running towards somebody that I'm in fear of. That's the thing. I would try to get away from them and then call the authorities so that they can handle it and so I can report it and when nobody gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? But you can report and leave it to the authorities to take the proper precautions for the situation. I'm not going to run behind somebody. That's not what you're supposed to do. Like I said, they even tell you not to pursue potential criminals, because if something happens, then the onus could be on you, right? Am I wrong about that? I don't know. I just think it's weird. And I'm wondering if he had not had a gun, would the situation been any different? If he hadn't had a gun, they could have still said that they were in fear for their lives, even though they were chasing two grown men were chasing the 14-year-old. And so could they still have said they feared for their life and that if he didn't have a gun? And so he still could have been dead on the ground even if he didn't have a gun. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy, y'all. That situation was crazy. But yeah, this man was found not guilty. This happened in 2023, and they finally got down to the whole situation. Now I think people are saying they're boycotting Asian stores or Chinese stores or whatever. Because of this verdict. I mean, there's nothing we could really do about it at this point. It is what it is. But I just wanted to share and get y'all thoughts on it. Yeah, and I agree, Santiago. I don't think you were in fear for anything. Y'all chased him. If anything, he seemed like he was scared because he was running. If he was running for his life, his shoe came off. He fell, got up, kept running because two men are chasing him. He don't know what they was going to do to him. But once again, it's one of those situations to where you shouldn't be putting yourself in that position. You shouldn't be out here trying to steal or walking around with a legal weapon because that could work against you. So, it's just a bad situation. But once again, you got to not do things that will potentially put you in harm's way. I always say as Black people, look, you're already a walking target as a Black person. And if you know that, why do things that would jeopardize that? If you're minding your business, you're not doing anything criminally, then you have a better chance of defending yourself. But if you're out here looking suspicious, doing things that would point to more suspicion other than you being black, then you're putting yourself in harm's way. Whether it's right or wrong, what somebody else is doing, you have to make sure that you're doing the right thing, in my opinion. So yeah, I just think this is crazy. I want to move on to the Karmelo Anthony situation, y'all. And I want to pull up a video that points to this. And this video is from the Amazing Lucas. I want to pull up the video of him. Oh, they are mad. Hold on one second. Of him addressing this whole situation. And then I want to play what some witnesses said about what's happening. They are mad in the court situation as well. But before we get into that, Night Call, thank you once again for the super chat, says, we've seen it before. Frankenstein, wars, conflicts, and fear-driven reactions to misunderstanding. Right. And, you know, thank you, Night Call. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, James Smith. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Night Call. Yeah, it's true, Night Call. And it's unfortunate. You know, I just think, once again, I'm a black person. I have black sons, and we have to have that precaution. We have to always know and have it in the back of our minds. I have sons, and me and their father, we teach them these things. Be careful. Don't go out here. They know not to go out and don't do nothing crazy. We have to give them that talk. We have to have conversations with them about how they conduct themselves in public, because automatically, as a black person, you're looked at as a suspect. If we're going to be real honest about it, go do what you need to do. You know, don't go doing nothing suspicious or crazy. We have to tell them this all the time. And this is what you should do in this situation. This is how you should handle yourself. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Because you're automatically considered a suspect as a black person. You're automatically looked at as if you're up to something, even when you're not. So this is why, you know, you have to have these conversations with your sons. There's no way you should be where's the father to teach their sons? You don't walk around. You shouldn't be having where is he getting his gun from? You know, it's just unfortunate, but these are the conversations you have to have. We have to have as black people. Thank you, Night Call. I appreciate you. I want to move on to this Karmelo Anthony thing, y'all. I want to play what the Amazing Lucas had to say. Shout out to him. And then I want to play a video from some of the witnesses that have heard some of the testimony or some of the video that was in the courtroom. And I want y'all to hear it. But let's check this out.
Ooh, they are mad. Oh, my goodness. So the talk of the town, of course, is the Karmelo Anthony trial. And I know a lot of people are on Twitter right now. Many people have been talking about, you know, what's been coming out from the trial. And, you know, I hope people understand that what's going on right now is that it's the prosecution's side, right? So I don't know why people are surprised that the prosecution's witnesses happen to be given a narrative that is favorable to the prosecution. Like, I don't understand. So, but people, once again, the white ignorants, the low IQs, they're using this one-sided, you know, telling of the story, of the narrative, as if it's the facts, as it's, oh, this is the only side. See, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. And even still, we're witnessing that many of the people, the witnesses, aren't really, you know, the most truth-telling. Because during cross, you had one of the witnesses, you know, essentially admit that he's being untruthful, okay? Because he was asked, hey, didn't you say that it was Metcalf who's the aggressor? He had to say yes. Didn't you also in a written statement say that he put his hand on him in an intimidating fashion? Yes, right? So you're starting to see that many of these, you know, many of the kids that are testifying are trying to, you know, big up Metcalf. They're trying to give, you know, falsified statements which contradict the written statements that they said at the time. Damn. Understandable, right? Understandable. I get it. So I'm not really concerned about this. Now, what people should be looking into is when it's the defense's side and who they bring up, because there has been a lot coming out, of video that apparently no one's seen or hasn't been promoted or shown to anybody that gives a very different narrative. You've had people who said they've seen this video that gives a very different narrative of Karmelo being jumped by these guys, and there being an escalation where Karmelo tries to leave, but then he's brought back in. So there's a lot going on. Like I said, we wait for the facts and evidence. But at the end of the day, what is being decided is whether or not Karmelo's self-defense claim is valid, whether or not the amount of force he applied, which was a knife, and it wasn't any big knife, it was 3.5 inches, according to the statements, whether the knife, which he only hit one time, he didn't go off 7 times like Chud the Builder, it was one time, whether or not that, the level of threat, the imminent danger that he believed he was in is justified for a knife. Because everyone keeps talking about, you don't bring a knife to a fist fight. You do if you are being beaten to an ounce of your life. That's what happens. If you are being beaten up to the point where you feel your life is in danger, yes, you can.
I mean, that's the stupidest thing ever. How can you tell somebody how to defend themselves? I mean, it's interesting that you have a bunch of white people, I'm going to say it, so trying to focus solely on the fact that he had a knife. Like, people don't walk around with guns all day, ready to use them for a lot less. You can't tell me that if somebody approach you and they're the aggressor and they're trying to fight you and harm you, and then you try to defend yourself, you don't think that these people gonna pull out their weapons? I've seen it. Look, we talk about videos, but in real life, you see this shit happening. This lady pulled out a gun on 2 black ladies because they asked her to move her car. So she pulled out a gun. They didn't have a gun on her. What you mean bring a knife to a fist? Like, you use whatever you can to defend yourself. It's interesting how they try to flip it and make it seem like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He had a knife. Like, they don't walk around with guns all day, ready to use them at any chance, any little threat of violence. Somebody look at you sideways. I just watched a video of a white man lying on 2 black men in a little place, talking about they was threatening them and they look like they got guns and they throwing up gang signs, and the men was not doing any of that. I need to find that video because I want to show that to y'all. I think somebody sent that to me. I looked at it and I want to talk. I should have, baby, that man sat there and lied, and the owner of the shop put him out, and they got into it. Because he sat there and lied and told me, I think they have guns and they've been throwing up gang signs and looking at me strange. Them men wasn't bothering him whatsoever. But once again, this is not all, but a lot of these people will sit here and lie, act like y'all a knife is so threatening, when y'all have guns on y'all the whole time, strapped all day. Black men have been shot for playing their music too loud. Okay? So it's just interesting to see this. It's crazy. It's all crazy, I'm telling you. I'm just saying, but let's continue.
And escalate to a knife. That's what happens. And that's what basically this whole entire case is about. It's not about what many people are trying to make it about. At the end of the day, he claims self-defense. So we have to see whether or not that's a valid claim. Once again, the white ignorance can't, understand that. They can't, they can't comprehend that. This is the irony of this story. Listen, to Austin Metcalf's parents, to any of the white nationalists or the racists or anyone who's rooting for Austin Metcalf, because I've seen some heinous things about Karmelo, how he needs to be executed and all this bullcrap. Listen, it's very simple, okay? The moral of this story, what you all need to understand, especially moving forward, okay? Because you're gonna be a minority in the country. What you need to understand is leave people alone. Damn. That is the moral of the story. Because as we've come to find out, that he wasn't going there to cause trouble. He was going to the camp, to the tent, to meet with a friend. That's what he was going to, right? So if Austin, right, because you want to say he's high IQ, right? All these high IQ white kids running around who seemingly happen to be engaged in low IQ behavior. Damn. If Austin Metcalf had better impulse control, Austin Metcalf would be alive today.
He's out of line, but he's right.
If he had better impulse control, right? Because they want to say they told him to leave 15 times. You tell someone to leave 15 times and you're going to, keep on telling them to leave? That is low IQ to me. I don't know. Maybe they'll do an autopsy on Metcalf and find out he had Down syndrome or, he was missing part of his frontal lobe.
He was funny for that. Missing part of his frontal lobe is hilarious. But the key point that I want to talk about is what he said. Leave people alone. So clearly there's this guy, Karmelo, was sitting under the tent by himself. He didn't go up to a group of people and start some shit and start waving a knife. He was apparently, they're saying, sitting under the tent waiting for a friend, and these other guys approached him, telling him he needs to leave, like they the authority of the goddamn of the park. Like they own it. Like, oh, they have the authority and the rights to tell you what to do. If you didn't think that he was supposed to be there, go find the authorities to maybe tell him to leave, and maybe they could have told him he had to leave. But why is it that we see a lot of entitled white people, and I'm going to be honest, who like to approach black people specifically, telling them what they can and cannot do, like they the authority, like they run shit. Y'all don't run shit, but this is what they're used to. That is that privilege that they have. Some of them, not all. I know some good white people who don't act like that. But what I'm saying is this is a common theme where they like to approach people, black people, and try to tell them what to do. And if they don't do it, they supposed to listen to you. Get the fuck out of here, leave, and do all this. Like you run shit. No, and now that black people, this ain't the 40s and the 50s and the 60s where you could control black people and just take their lives. No, nobody don't have to listen to y'all. Y'all not the authority. And so this is what we see happening. You want to just walk up, even with the younger ones. Y'all think y'all could go up to somebody and tell them what to do and they don't do it. You got to do something. And that seems to be what happened here. This boy didn't go and approach them. He was there. But now they're focusing on, why does he have a knife? The same way, why do you have something to protect yourself? Why? Why do y'all have guns? Why do y'all walk around with y'all guns? Why? To protect yourself. Why can't he? I don't think it was in Texas. I don't think it was illegal for him to have that knife. Oh, but they're saying he shouldn't have had it at the track park or whatever. But he wasn't bothering anybody. Nobody would have ever known what he had on his person if you hadn't approached him. I'm just saying this is unfortunate too, because I don't like to see people lose their lives in situations like this. Like I said before, it's unfortunate this young man lost his life. But you got to think about it. If he had not approached him or trying to tell him anything, he would be alive. He would be alive, right? If he hadn't approached this guy and tried to tell him and put hands on him, he would be alive. That's all I'm saying. Let's continue.
I don't know, possibly. It's possible because that's usually signs with someone who has a learning disability, okay? I don't know how you do something 15 times with the same outcome. That is a sign of insanity, okay? So if Austin Metcalf had just had a higher IQ, he would have realized, oh, Karmelo doesn't want to leave. I'm in no authority to tell Karmelo to leave. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and get an adult and tattletale, right? Mr. Coach, this guy Karmelo is at our tent. He's not supposed to be here. Fine, go ahead and tattletale. But what he did, and I find it interesting because you also have to take into account the size difference. People are completely, I've noticed that
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I'm hearing that these white boys was huge. They're saying this guy Karmelo is small in stature compared to him. That these guys were big white boys. And so you got to take into account too. And then we're gonna hear some more testimony, y'all, about what they're saying that they show the video that they showed in court. So I want to get to that. I'm going to play a little bit more of what Lucas is saying, and then we're going to get to what people are saying that they saw in the court testimony. Let's continue, though.
The ignorance and the racists overlook anything that is detrimental to their case.
Right.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
That goes without saying. Anything that could possibly give assistance to Karmelo's self-defense claim, one being the size difference. Karmelo was 5'8", like 140. Metcalf was 6 feet, over 200 pounds. Yeah, that's a pretty big size difference. And if that person wants to be aggressive and hostile with you or be physically abusive to you, yeah, the next line of defense, because you're not going to have a chance to fight him, next line of defense is going to be a knife. It's going to be some type of weapon to defend yourself. It's as simple as that. Now, they don't want to admit that, but I mean, once again, we'll let the trial go out. Now, do I think he's going to get off? It's after hearing the whole all-white jury in Texas. Yeah, no, I don't believe so. But, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. But that being said, I hope the lesson of this story for all the white ignorants, for everyone paying attention to this case, is
leave black people alone. Straight fact.
okay, for all your little white kids who are being trained under post-traumatic slave master syndrome, you're not doing them any favors. Giving them a victim complex is not doing them any favors. You have to understand this, because you need to understand it's no longer Jim Crow segregation. It's no longer slavery where you just have dominion over all black people. You just can't tell someone, get out of here, scram. That's not how that works, okay? So Austin Metcalf apparently was raised improperly, apparently was raised by low IQ parents, was apparently raised by white ignorant parents. And unfortunately, they had a white ignorant child. And this white ignorant child, instead of going to the proper authorities, right, to handle the situation, if you don't want someone here, okay, fine. You're not in a position of authority to kick him out. He has every right to be there if he wants to be there. So if you don't like that, or if you disagree with his presence, go talk to an adult. But no, what did he do? He took it upon himself to be physically violent to get their way. Now, that is very much a pattern of behavior for these group of people.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I look, shout out to the amazing Lucas. I love his channel and the things that he covers. Shout out to him. Listen, those are my points exactly. And I just think they really got to learn how to leave people the hell alone. Leave black people alone. Leave black people alone. There's a whole Instagram thing where it says leave black people alone. Y'all got to stop thinking that you're the authority over black folks. You know, that you have the right to try to follow them and ask them where they live and know their name, like that they have to tell you. This is a common thing that I'm seeing, and I think it has to stop. And this is a unfortunate situation as well, y'all, but this is what looks like it has happened or has transpired. But let me go ahead and pull up this other clip. Right? Who are basically talking about what they saw on the video that was presented in the court. I want to get into this because I thought this was very interesting to share and very detailed. And I want to see how this all transpires and the evidence that comes out and all of this. But from what we're hearing, this is unfortunate. But let's get into it, y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button, y'all. Your girl is up here on a big Sunday. I was like tired, but I was like, I want to cover this because I want to get y'all thoughts on it because this is crazy, y'all. But listen, check this out. Here we go.
Justice for Karmelo. Justice for Karmelo. That's right, sir. Justice for Karmelo. Justice for Karmelo. Justice for Karmelo. You're lying on this child like you want to see no Karmelo. Minding his business. And that's what they need to know. They trying to dehumanize this child like he wasn't sitting under that tent. Minding his business. He was not an aggressor. Karmelo was not an aggressor. He was minding his damn business when them boys came up to him. Read the crowd. Read the creed. Karmelo Anthony will not free. Read the crowd. Read the creed. Causing division.
No.
Do you think that's what the
But
Lord wants
Jesus
you
said,
to do?
I did not come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword of division between the sheep and the goats. And right now,
You are
those who
not being a
stand,
peacemaker.
and those, I'm not being a peacemaker, I'm being a sword of division between darkness and light. There can no be
Well, you need to clean
coexistence
that shit from
between
around
the
your mouth
sinner
and
and the
then
saint.
come back
Do
and,
we sit at the same
fresh
table
again.
and eat as the unrighteous?
And we do.
No.
Whenever we get to have
That is
these
not
black
scripture.
Folks, these black folks who are in prison right now
Deserve to be there.
Right by you. Right
Deserve
next
to be there.
Breathing on you. Loving on you. Calling you a son of God.
I've ministered and baptized dozens of black men
Okay,
in
the
prison.
wrong way.
Well, I mean, he's saying the black men that are in prison deserve to be there. Well, what about the white ones in prison? Do they deserve to be there? They really act like people really talk like there aren't any white people in prison. There's a higher percentage of white folks in jail too. Do they deserve to be there? Why do people let that slide? Ask them, hey, do the white people in prison deserve to be there? Because they really act like there's no white folks in jail. That white folks don't commit crimes or do a goddamn thing wrong. That's the part that gets me. You could point out the black people that are in prison for crimes that they committed for sure. But there's all other kind of races of people in there as well. It's not just them. So you got to start learning how to give them, meet their energy. Give them. You're so hostile and so on board with what black people do, but then when we start pointing out the crimes and all the white criminals and all the pedophiles and all the stuff that y'all do on y'all side, you get quiet. No, you got to meet the energy, meet the same energy. Y'all not innocent. Like they talk like they be out here talking like they have no fault in nothing. Like, oh my God, and like they don't outnumber black people. Like y'all don't outnumber black people. Like y'all don't have high rates of crimes in y'all area as well. Like they act like they are completely innocent. Oh, let's fight the evil versus the good. Like they're all good. Like, come on, we know that's not the truth. Like that's the only part. You gotta let them know. Listen, if you gonna point us out, we could point you out too, even more. So if you think the black people that are in jail for crimes deserve it, cool. I'll give you that. Do you think the white ones in jail or in there? Or do you think they was falsely accused? I would love to know. Let's continue.
In prison. I have love for black people, but what I don't have love for is degenerate black culture. It needs to end.
Fuck you don't. You ain't got love for nobody.
I do have love for black people. I am calling. Listen, a lesser man would be calling for the deportation of blacks, but I'm not. We are giving you the opportunity to raise yourselves up in a state of dignity again and coexist with the Americans before we kick you out of our country.
I can guarantee you that.
Behave and you're welcome in our society. Stop with the worshiping of Cardi B. Stop with the worshiping.
Alright, what's up with the YouTube fam? I'm back again with another video right now. Look, if you're a supporter of the channel, you're rocking with the channel, you want me to start dropping videos like this as well, start hitting that like button, just letting me know that y'all rock with them.
911 calls and saw enhanced video from the track meet. Anthony has pleaded not guilty to murder. His defense told the jury that Metcalf struck first and Anthony reacted in a split second of fear and chaos. Prosecutors told the jury in openings that the case has nothing to do with race or self-defense. They say Metcalf was unarmed, that Anthony provoked a fight with someone he didn't know, and then pulled out a knife and carried out what they described as a, quote, sneak attack.
This whole court situation, which people are making it racial, and it's going this type of way because of that and other reasons as well that we do know. But ultimately, man, it's been a lot of different developments in the case. And one of the things that I do see that has a lot of people in an uproar is that there is no black jurors that's presiding over this case. Now, with that being said, I do see the frustrations and shit like that, but they do that in a lot of different instances, so I just want to say, with him being in McKinney, Texas, playing games like this, you know what I'm saying, it's not something that you would want to do, and what I mean by playing games like this is just basically having so many different people having so many different things to say, and you out there causing problems and shit. Y'all better tighten up out there, man, because they don't play. But for this whole case to have happened in McKinney, Texas, is very, very bad as well too, because they not playing, like I said. But ultimately, a lot of different developments happened. One of the developments that has happened was the footage has been released. Right now, people are saying that it was clear as day that they jumped him and he had every right to defend himself. But with him having a pocket knife, throws a lot of different things out of the window. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep this shit all the way 1,000. If I lose a supporter here and there, that's cool. But I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 and balanced. Y'all know I'm known for that, and that's what I'm gonna continue being. For somebody to jump you, you definitely have every reason to protect yourself. But when you're in a school setting with a knife, you look a certain way to certain people, right? Now, a lot of people were raised, especially.
Let me tell you something. Now, listen, and I try to keep it fair too, but you can't tell me, child, if a bunch of dudes are trying to jump you, that you supposed to be, oh, I'm not going to grab this brick or this knife, or I'm not going to grab. He could have had a knife on him because he had to defend himself. How do we know if he wasn't being bullied? How do we know if other people weren't trying to test him? You don't just walk around with something on you. You look, I was raised, and I'm not gonna even bullshit y'all, that you have to protect yourself. I used to have a knife on me when I used to walk to go. When I was a teenager, I had to walk to work. And as a young woman walking, I had to have some type of protection, the same way you have a knife, a mace, a weapon, whatever, to protect yourself, because you out here and you're vulnerable. So you can't tell people how to protect themselves. You're not going out here to maliciously try to hurt somebody if that's not your goal, but you're thinking about protecting yourself because somebody might try to take advantage of you. Now you can't tell me if you got 2, 3, 4 dudes on you coming at you, you don't have the right to try to protect yourself. You don't want to get beat up by they're not over you to play with you. They're trying to harm you. So what else you supposed to do? Like, come on, this is insane. This is insane. That's just my take on it.
I ain't even gonna do all of that. Y'all know what I'm talking about when I say what I say, and if you can resonate with it, you can resonate with it. But a lot of people were taught as kids to do whatever you need to do to secure your safety in these type of situations. They'll tell you to pick up whatever you have or whatever you see and shit like that, but to actually have your weapon just makes shit crazy. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're out here in the free world and this shit happened, not in a school setting, then, you know, this probably would have went up under the rug real quick. But since it happened the way that it happened, it's going the way that it's going. Now, I'm going to let y'all hear what a man had to say. Shout out to Smash the Topic. He's covering this out there. Shout out to you if you run across this. And a man who was there basically said what he seen on the footage. And the body cam, the footage is shocking. And I'm gonna also show y'all another person who has something to say about it with a similar but different perspective. So this is what he had.
Seen the video on 2 hours. Was it clear enough or was it fuzzy or what?
No, it was clear. It was okay. It's clear enough where you can see the actual individual raindrops come by the cameras.
Okay.
How clear it is. You actually see them walking up. You see that Karmelo is already up under there. He's under there minding his business.
Dodging the rain or?
Yeah, it was still raining. You know, right. I'm from Louisville. So that day we were under a tornado watch. Right. And we were under thunderstorm warning. And we know we had already had some light rain then, and it started raining again. Then it was over with for the day. Okay. So that's kind of what happened on that day. But they were at a rain delay already. And so during that time when that happened, the twins, their 2 buddies, and a few other kids, because there was a few kids involved with them, they were all coming from the direction of the middle school, coming walking back up. Right. On the video, you can see those 4 that actually was involved, and maybe about 3 or 4 others that was with them, skipping up, trying to catch up behind. One veered off probably toward his way to go to the coach and kind of distract them a little bit. And then the other 4 came walking together. One went in front of them, went past. Right. The other 4 went and they surrounded Karmelo. You know, if you're Karmelo,
and they showed that on that video.
It's on the video.
Okay, come on.
You can see them walk.
I'm gonna say little stuff.
I'll put it this way.
Okay.
They actually tell you when you're watching the video, pay attention to this corner right here, because if you look anywhere else, you might miss different things. Okay. So watch those 4. Here they're 4 right there coming up. Right. That's exactly what they say. Okay. And so you have no way to be confused that it's those 4. Okay. So they come up, they surround them, and this immediate moment of not even a few seconds of pause, then that's when they jump. And so
they actually did jump him.
Yeah, it wasn't just no touch. It wasn't just all that moment. Yeah, it was a push. It was all kind of things. But Austin pushed, Hunter hit, and then everybody swung. But at the same time,
so it's more than the twins that got some licks on.
All 4.
So it showed that in the video.
Yes, in the video. So again, you got Hunter and Austin standing in the middle.
Okay.
And you have the light bright boy here, and you have the darker boy here. Okay. I think that's what I remember. So I have to go back and think about it. But that's where they were. One was going up and down while they were talking and kind of pushing or whatever he was doing. Austin and Hunter was in front. So where they're talking about grabbing bags, Hunter actually said that I grabbed his bag. Right. And then later on, he said that Austin threw the bag. Okay. Jeff also said the same thing. And so that's them both antagonizing. And we know under Texas law, I just have the fear that you're about to do something to me and you can get up out of here. Yeah, so you don't have to touch me. But at that point, he still stood there and stopped there. And whatever they say alleged was said, you don't know that until they get into it here. But once they did that, they started hitting him. Karmelo actually was able to back out and try to get away. So he was actually trying to get away the first time. Austin grabbed him, and you can see his hoodie coming out like this, and they brought him back in.
Okay.
And when they brought him back in, that's when you can see Austin put him in a headlock. You can see that all the rest of them are still hitting. That must be when the poke happened, because he was able to get out again. He backed out. He looked to the right. That's where the other little kid was filming, because they got some cell phone footage too. But that's where he was filming. He looked directly at him in his camera, and then he went this way to the left. He went down. He fell. And that's when they realized he was gone, because they were still punching. And when he fell, that's when they all turned around. They started chasing him. Austin tried to go chase him too, but he grabbed his chest. I guess he realized that something happened to him. And that's when he went down a little bit and he fell down. But all three of them were chasing. But Karmelo was so fast, he got away and went around to the coach. And so you can see them on the video pointing toward Karmelo and the coach. And I can imagine, because Karmelo out of the camera on that moment, that he was telling the coach what happened. And then that's when Hunter said he whipped his head around. That's a true statement. He just wasn't sitting when he did it. He whipped his head around. You see him on the video. And that's when he walked over to where Austin was, but he never touched him. So all that stuff about him rendering aid and holding his heart, and not, he never did that, because the coach grabbed him and he was holding him. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where the moment went. But they did assault him, and we'll just play the game. Even if it was just a push, you still assaulted him, because it was unwanted. By your own definition in your word of him saying that leave me alone and I'm not going, you assaulted him, period. But they did beat him. And if you look at the, not the photo that Fox 4 put out, because that was one that they actually edited. I have the emails to prove it. But the actual Collin County one, you can see the webs and stuff on his eye. You can see the bridge of his nose is swollen. You can see the webs under his neck. And so that's the reason why they edited the one from Fox and kind of airbrushed it. And you can see they put the locks of his hair that got taken out as well.
Okay, so now that you've seen that,
damn. Now see this information they're not showing. So these people allegedly have been previewed to the tape to see it. So if this is what they're playing in the court, you would think that this would be considered self-defense, but child, who knows how this is gonna turn out. This is crazy. Once again, he's allegedly saying it was more than two, just the brother. It was like 4 and more guys beating on this guy. So all 4 or and all of them on one person? This is not a shocking thing. We've seen this happen before. So, I mean, wow, this is crazy. And so, yeah, why aren't they releasing the video for it? Why would they want to? If you're trying to push a certain narrative and want people to believe your take, they wouldn't want to put that out there. This is insane, y'all. I just want to see. I think they said this trial was supposed to go for 2 weeks. I want to see the outcome and get the more information. This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. What's going on, C. Irving? C. Irving, 1778. Thank you for the super chat. Says, Sister DeeDee, you got a new female fan over here. Keep bringing this work. Hope to see you on next ladies table. Your last live stream was dope. Thank you, C. Irving, and shout out to that person. I appreciate it. Thank you, C. Irving. How you been? Thank you so much for the support. Baby, this is crazy though, y'all. This is crazy. That's why they gave Karmelo an all white jury. They hoping they want what if they don't, that's why people are concerned about that white jury. But what if they look at the evidence and do the right thing? And that's what you're supposed to do. Lord have mercy. This is insane, y'all. And see, this is the kind of shit I don't, excuse my language, y'all. This is what I be saying. Like, look, I'm all for what's right. And if you wrong, you wrong. If you right, you right. This is crazy. And they want to talk about, it's not about race. Yes, it is. What you mean it's not about race? It all boils down to that. There are different rules and different things that apply to black versus white. Come on now. Lord have mercy. Now, y'all, so these people are saying it. So all of this information is clearly going to have to come out in these court proceedings. That, they approach him. This is what people have been saying. This is why the boy is saying self-defense. He didn't go approach these young white boys. He didn't go bother them at all. They came to him. That's what we typically see. You approaching a black person, always trying to have some type of authority over black people. Always bothering folks when they ain't bothering you. That's why they say you barbecuing while black, going to the store while black, doing everything while driving while black, everything, because somebody's always targeting you and messing with you when people are just trying to live and mind their own goddamn business. Lord, if you do something wrong as a black person, you need to be held accountable. It shouldn't be about race, but it is, because there's a history of it being about race. Come on now. Now they want to try to ignore it? No. This country is based off, it's based on racism. And messing with people and you know, charging people and lying on black people because of race. What you mean it ain't about race? When we see so many examples of young white boys doing certain things and getting off, and oh my God, making excuses for them, but a black person, oh no. I'm like, look, I would love it to not be about race. I would love it to be just about, if you did something wrong, you do the crime, you do the crime, you do the time. I don't give a damn what color you are. But when we see these types of things happen and how the narratives are trying to be spun into something to favor one side versus the other, then yeah, it definitely is about race, and you definitely have to fight for yourself. So this is what the young man has been saying, Karmelo, all the while. It was he was defending himself. It was self-defense, and now they're saying these group of white boys came over here and started messing with this man. He was not the aggressor. He didn't go to them. They came to him. Let's continue.
And I didn't see anybody whispering, but, you know, he just said if he saw that again, they'd keep them out. He'd kick them out permanently. But, Julia, to touch on those opening statements, of course, the prosecution is continuing the narrative that we've heard from the beginning since April of 2025, that Karmelo Anthony was under that tent for no good reason. He was just there, and then Austin Metcalf and his friends came up to approach him to say, get out from under the tent, to which Karmelo Anthony, the prosecution says, got aggressive, reached in that bag, pulled out a knife and stabbed Austin Metcalf. But the defense in their opening statements painted a different picture. They began by humanizing Karmelo Anthony, talking about how he had 2 jobs in high school, how he was, you know, a brother, a son, an oldest brother, how he was a 3.7 GPA A student in school, just really painting him out to be a good human being before diving into their version of the facts of the case. Now, of course, we've heard that statement from eyewitnesses, or a witness on the stand, or not on the stand, in the area, saying that Karmelo reached into the bag saying, touch me if you want to, or see what happens if you touch me. And that's what led, when Austin pushed him, he stabbed him in the chest. But the defense attorney says it was more of a, as long as you don't touch me, we'll be cool, implying that, you know, everything's fine. I understand there's a verbal altercation going on here, but just don't put your hands on me. So that was the narrative the defense painted there. They also said that Karmelo was under the tent because he was seeing somebody he was familiar with, a friend of his still girlfriend now, somebody he'd been acquainted with, somebody he recognized. And then they walked through some of that video, Julia, showing that Karmelo Anthony was under the tent for about 2 minutes before Metcalf, his twin brother, and their friends got to the tent, and the whole ordeal went down in about 4.5 minutes of both of them, both parties being under that tent, Julia. But again, emotional out here. I'm looking around it here. There's a lot more demonstrators than there were yesterday during jury selection. So, you know, each side is here. It's a polarizing case, of course, that has caught many headlines across this country. But those opening statements were definitely powerful on either side.
Notes, Cody. We're so fortunate that you've been able to share with us what is happening inside of that courtroom. Tell us more about the surveillance video, because your notes on this were very interesting. What were you able to see? And then I also understand there was a reaction from the victim's family when that was being played.
Yeah, Julia, so that's in the opening statement. They were referencing surveillance video. And, you know, of course, everyone wanted to see video. We haven't seen anything. There's been a gag order on this case since the very beginning last year. So they start playing this video. There were 5 different angles of the video getting walked through from testimony by the forensic video analyst. And they were very wide-angle videos, Julia, and the witness had to talk about how he had to use this software to zoom in and try to make the video as clear as possible. And even then, Julia, I won't lie, it still looked very fuzzy and hazy. It definitely sets the scene. You can see what's going on, but even the prosecution distinctly said that you won't be able to uniquely identify anyone, but they referred to Karmelo on the video as the person of interest, and they referred to Austin Metcalf as the victim. Of course, as the forensic analyst has digested this video and dissected it and pointed out everything that we need to know, going through shoes and the type of clothing they were wearing. So we identified who each person was in the video, even though they kind of just looked like humanoid blobs. But you see, one thing that stood out to me, Julie, is that, you know, I'm very familiar with track meets. I was under the impression that, you know, when you go to a championship track meet, you have multiple tents on the same side of the bleachers. But in this video, because it's early in the morning, just before 10 a.m. when all this happened, the high school where the tent where the high school where all this went down, Memorial High School, it was just an isolated tent in the bleachers by itself. There were no surrounding, schools or anything in the general area. You saw some schools walking in, but I guess, the meet was just starting. But anyway, they identified Karmelo walking up the bleachers, kind of walking towards the tent. He kind of goes towards someone, and you see him standing there for a couple of minutes. Then you see Austin Metcalf, his twin brother, and his friends walking up and getting under the tent. And then once everything's happening under the tent, it just kind of looks like a blob of people. You can't really make out anything that's really going on for 5 to 6 minutes. And then you see a quick to and from. And they were implying that was like the push, the initial contact. You can't really see anything happening. Before then, you see people walking by. They're not really, turning heads as if something's loud and, something's catching their attention. But all of a sudden, you see that to and from, and then you see Karmelo, or who they identify as person of interest, who we're assuming to be Karmelo Anthony. He runs out from under the tent, and then he's running down the bleachers, sprinting a ways away from the tent and out of the stadium onto the track and everything towards one of his coaches. And eventually after that, we see another angle of the video where Karmelo's been taken into custody by police. But the reaction, Julia, it wasn't a visceral reaction. When you saw the to and from, of course, that's the stabbing action, if you will. All I saw, I'm sitting 2 rows behind Austin Metcalf's father, and his head was just kind of in his hands, kind of like this. Wasn't necessarily crying, but, just implying that he doesn't really want to see, even though you can't see the stabbing, but he knows in his mind this is the moment that his son.
Who said, None of your biz 12 says he's trying to leave out the fact that they jumped him. Exactly. And then, what is it? Why Skinnerman Cave says the last guy said it was clear. Exactly. So who lying? Somebody lying. This is why people don't like the news. Somebody be lying. Well, they're saying that other man did say it was clear. You could see exactly what happened. And now he's making it seem like we can't see anything that was blurry. Somebody lying. Somebody lying. So clearly they still approached him. Don't stop approaching people and then playing the victim. Lord, have mercy.
Lost his life. So he was just there, obviously overwhelmed by everything. I'm sitting right behind the Metcalf family. Karmelo Anthony's family is on the opposite side of the courtroom. But again, the video, not as impactful as I thought, but it definitely is a scene setter to help us understand clearer as to what's going on, since we haven't seen anything so far in this.
How is it clear if you didn't see nothing, if it wasn't clear? How is it clear what happened if it wasn't clear?
Case.
Oh, incredible detail, Cody. You're setting the scene for us. Not being able to see what's going on in this case that has so many eyes on it is really helpful. You also broke some news for us earlier when it came to the jury. There have been a lot of questions about who's on this jury, what may be their demographics, how will that impact a case that has had a lot of polarization racially, especially online, even though we know these parties say, even the prosecution today in the opening saying this is not about race. But what have you observed about the racial makeup of this jury?
Yeah, Julia. So, of course, with the optics of this case, this story here, young black kid, young white kid, violent crime. Of course, people are going to have their opinions. They're going to have their judgments. And, the jury was, that the makeup of the jury was in question. And so, of course, I was in jury selection yesterday, and that jury was seated around just after 5 p.m. yesterday. And I couldn't necessarily see the courtroom today. We saw reports last night that there was no African-American people on the jury, and that held to be true. It's a majority white jury, of course, made up of men and women. There are 3 Asian women on the jury. One what looked to be a Middle Eastern woman on the jury, and another person of darker complexion on the jury, but none of them were African-American. There's a total of 12 jurors, 6 alternates, so a total of 18, I guess I should say. But yeah, majority white jury, all the men are white as well. So the reports were true. No African-American people on this jury. I remember yesterday during jury selection, the defense raised an objection to the prosecution's strikes. In the strike zone, there were 3 black female jurors that the prosecution wanted to strike, and that would have been all the African-American jurors that were available at the time. And the prosecution says they did not strike them on a racial basis, but on an occupational basis, because they were all educators, and they thought that would hold some sort of bias because all of this went down at a school. But the defense's objection was eventually denied by the judge, and the judge, granted the strikes on behalf of the prosecution. So those are the only 3 available African-American jurors at the time, right before the jury got seated. That objection got denied about 15 minutes before it was seated yesterday. So majority white jury, 3 Asian women and 2 women of color, but no African-Americans at all.
And the judge saying that there were race-neutral reasons for the strikes of the African-Americans in that pool. Cody, Thomas, thank you for all of those details. I know you've got to get back inside of that courtroom and grab some lunch before you get back. So we will see you later on. There's no escaping how polarizing this trial is. Both Karmelo's mother and Austin Metcalf's father have spoken about the emotional toll here. And joining me now is someone who knows really better than anyone about a trial being this polarizing. He's an attorney who successfully defended George Zimmerman, who was accused of murdering Trayvon Martin. And that was a case that had issues of race and self-defense. It defined that trial as well. We have with us Mark O'Mara. Mark, it is so good to have you on. Thank you so much for joining me. I think you're an important voice here because whether you see it this way or not, there are many people online, people who are reacting to this case, and it often seems this way whenever we have a case where 2 different parties are of different races. You have a self-defense allegation and one is unarmed, the victim. There's often a reference to the Trayvon Martin case, the George Zimmerman case. Sure. I want to ask your opinion. Do you see similarities here in this case?
Oh, no, there definitely are. It is undeniable. And we can't and really shouldn't even deny the harsh reality that race interposes itself on most criminal trials. It imposes itself on the criminal justice system as a whole. And it does so here in this case, only because they are of different races. Now, I'm not saying that Karmelo had...
Well, okay, you're going to compare the George Zimmerman case to this one. Okay, and basically it shows you that it has everything to do with race, okay? Because George Zimmerman followed that young boy, what he wasn't he like wasn't he 14 or something? How old was the boy in the George Zimmerman case? He followed this guy, approached him, and ended up they getting into an altercation because you followed him. You the one had the weapon, not him, right? Let me know because I forget sometimes. You pursued that young man, end up deleting him, but you get off, right? George Zimmerman got off, right? But in this case, these guys are pursuing this young man, goes to him, starts whatever started. He defends himself, and now everybody automatically just don't trust the system. They believe that this Karmelo Anthony will be found guilty because he had a knife and defended himself. But in the George Zimmerman case, you pursued this guy, started something. He tried to defend himself, but you pursued him, you followed him, and then you end up hurting him, claiming self-defense. You get off this, but there's always question when it's a black person. It's always in question a black person's motive, or if it's really self-defense. You can't be defending yourself as a black person. You automatically supposed to be guilty because you're black. It's insane. Successful MD says it would have been easy to get DNA from all 4 of those boys since scratched and tussled with Karmelo. Yet openly carry knives in their pocket. So it'd have been easy to get a DNA from all 4 boys since scratched and tussled with Karmelo. And yes, openly carry knives in their pockets. Thank you, Successful MD. I appreciate you. Yeah, I just think, if anything, the 2 cases, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. The 2 cases shows the bias and shows why race has everything to do with it, because he same thing with this Chinese man. Y'all ran behind this guy, whether he was wrong for having that gun or not, which I don't think a 14-year-old should be walking around with a gun. But he didn't point it at them in the store. He didn't threaten them in the store, try to rob them in the store. If he had tried to rob them in the store with that said gun in the initial case with the Chinese Mr. Child or whatever his name is, and he ended up shooting him there and killing him, understood, justified. But I don't think that was justified, running behind him and then and claiming he pointed something at you while he's running from you. That's crazy. And then he gets off. The George Zimmerman case, you pursued this guy, run behind him, and then claim self-defense after you do something to him, but you chased him, you get off. So in this case, then we should assume, based off of the George Zimmerman situation, that Anthony would be innocent. That they have pursued him, he defended himself. He should be innocent. He should be, because it should be considered he stood his ground. He protected himself. If we want to compare it to the George Zimmerman case, that's how we should look at it. He should be found not guilty in that case. Then that's all I'm saying. Let's see. Let's continue and see what he's saying.
Any racial intent in his actions, but we as the observers, right, as the viewers of it, look at this and say, oh, obviously there's a racial component. There may have been nothing in either one of their minds the day that this happened, this tragedy occurred. But we look at it as lawyers and as commentators and say we have to be aware of it, because we know, and I've argued for decades, that there's an undeniable bias existing in the criminal justice system against young black males. Used to be we could never even talk about it 20 years ago or so. Finally, we can talk about that undeniable bias, but it's there. And I would tell you, I'm very concerned that there is not an African American on this panel, and more concerned that the state was able to cross out 3 African American females that were opposed on what we do call a Batson strike, because of a concern of a racial striking. And that's a problem for this trial, and we haven't even started yet.
Yeah, that's been concerning to a lot of people who are reacting to this. I'm curious what the breakdown was in that landmark trial that you successfully represented George Zimmerman, if you remember. Was it similar? There are other cases. The Ahmaud Arbery one stands out to me, where there was a question of that jury. There was only one African American on that one down in Brunswick, Georgia. What do you think that has, if it has an impact at all, on how the outcome may be in this case, and will they have a successful appeal if there's a conviction?
Well, again, my jury was 6 women, only one who was identified as maybe biracial, but no African Americans on my jury. I am very concerned, as I mentioned a moment ago, about the fact that we now go into this trial with a racial component not only existing as it did before jury selection, but now I think exaggerated or exacerbated, because now 12 non-African Americans are going to decide this kid's fate. And just as we had to deal with in the Zimmerman case, you want to have something that people can place their trust in the verdict, whatever it is. And I was sort of hopeful in the Zimmerman case that since all the evidence came out, all the arguments came out, that it would at least be understood, but it was still difficult to trust. When you go into a case like this with the undeniable racial concern and do it with a jury that has no African Americans, not only do you build in a possible appellate issue, but you really build in a social issue, that how is the black community going to look at this if he gets convicted and say this is a just verdict? They're going to look at it the way they've had to for decades, which is it's a bias system. Here's an example of it.
Okay, now that you've seen that.
Exactly. I mean, why wouldn't we look? That's how we've always had to look at it. So yeah, that it is very concerning that, it's an all-white jury, of course, because that's how it's been as far as we can remember. You know what I mean? With racism, and that's how it's been, and knowing that, and the history of that, we know the outcomes and how it has not been justified or fair for black people. So of course that's a problem. And just keep in mind, this is 2026, y'all. It seems like everything is coming back around. It never, you know what I mean? It seems like it's getting worse. Successful MD says whites open carry knives at school. Right. So listen, Successful MD, thank you for the super chat. This is what I'm saying. They're speaking like, oh my God, it's just so shocking. I mean, they be having BB guns, knives, all kinds of things. Like but I just like how the narrative is always kind of pushed, like as if these folks don't do nothing. Like they don't commit crimes, they don't carry knives, they don't be having them damn BB guns shooting up shit. They don't be having nothing. They just so innocent and so pure. And everybody else is the problem. Like, this is insane, y'all. When stuff like this happen, this is crazy. But I once again, I guess we'll see how this all unfolds. But I just think this is very interesting. I really think this is it's very interesting. All white jewelry equals game over, child. Carrying is not the issue. If you carry and nobody sees it, it is not an issue. It is an issue when you use it inappropriately. Um, how do you use something inappropriately? What is considered inappropriately? I mean, usually when people carry something for protection, they only plan on using it when they have to in a self-defense situation. If somebody is trying to harm you, trying to, take advantage of you, that's when you use it. You don't just use it, and you shouldn't be flashing stuff around. The same way women carry mace and pepper spray and guns, as well. There are women who carry guns as well now to protect themselves, and you shouldn't be pulling it out willy-nilly, playing around with it. You only want to use it in case you have to. So most responsible folks have any type of weapon just for when they absolutely need it. If somebody, and I don't think anybody's going to let people jump them or beat them down to the ground and you not defend yourself. Come on now. Four people jumping on you, beating you up. I've seen people eyes have been popped out of their heads from people beating them, because they're not just playing with you, they're beating you, they're trying to hurt you. So, in that case, you should definitely be able to defend yourself. I don't just sensible, logical thinking people are going to use something in a way that only is necessary, not just playing around with weapons and stuff. You shouldn't be walking around pulling out guns and pulling out knives just for the hell of it. No, you should only have that as a sole means of protection if you have to use it, not because you want to use it, not like you're planning on, but no, just solely for in the case that you have to use it. A 3-inch knife is legal in Texas. Exactly. Right. History does repeat itself. It's short, and it's like, it definitely is, in my opinion. Yeah, 3-inch knives in Texas are legal. Yes. You have the right to carry a weapon for protection. You have the right to carry a weapon for safety, but similar to having a dog. Wait, hold on. But similar to having a dog. Wait, where did it go? Hold on. Damn it. But similar to having a dog, you're responsible, good or bad, for the actions of how. Yeah, I agree. Yep. Right. He had the right to defend himself. He did, And more than that, it's like he wouldn't have to try to pull out a knife or defend himself if they had not approached him. Can we practice that? Not approaching people. You're not the police. If you see somebody looking suspicious, or you think they up to something, call the authorities. That's what they're for, right? It's not for us. They tell us don't, or we don't want your police have told people, hey, we don't want you taking matters into your own hands. Call the authorities. That's what we're for. Don't take it upon yourself to do something, because if you get hurt, oh well, it might be consequences. They'll tell you that. That's what they're for. You don't take it upon yourself to try to police people and like you the authority. No, it's not your positioning to do that. Let the authorities handle it. If you think he wasn't supposed to be there, go find somebody in authority who can say, son, you got to leave here. Now, if he brazen and get boastful up against that person, even though they have a right, then now that's a whole nother story. But you approaching somebody and demanding that they leave like you some type of authority figure over them, and then proceed to put your hands on them, baby, you get what you get. You can't tell people how to protect themselves. That's the part I think a lot of people don't understand. If you leave people alone, you won't be in a position to have to protect yourself. If you just leave folks alone. If that young guy, Karmelo, had approached Metcalf and did the same thing, they would be arguing exactly what I'm saying. It would make sense then. Why? Because he's white. It would make logical sense if they would argue the exact same thing I'm arguing. If that white boy, if the white boy was Karmelo and he had done that to him, they would be arguing exactly what I'm saying. That he had no right to approach him and tell him to move. And then he pursued to put his hands on. They would be arguing this in court, and everybody would understand it. But when you black, you got to think about it. Oh, should we listen to does the same logic apply? You know what I'm saying? They would have definitely And it would have been right to say no. If the Karmelo guy had approached these guys and tried to tell them to leave and then put their hands on them because they don't want to leave, they would have said he was dead wrong. Point blank in a period. It wouldn't even be a question. It wouldn't even be a question. But it's a question in this situation. You know what I'm saying? That's the part. That's the part that we got to look at. Certain things don't apply when you don't like, when when you're partial to your own people. Logical sense doesn't matter. It goes out the window. Because you want to paint your folks as right all the time, even when they're wrong. I don't give a damn if you white, purple, green, blue. Right is right, wrong is wrong. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't care. I don't care about your skin color. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. If you do something wrong, I don't care what color you are. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You could be, just because you black don't mean I'm just going to defend you when you're wrong. But that sometimes people don't like that because everybody want to just stick to their race because you're racist or you're biased to you don't care what they do. You can do no wrong in some people's eyes, and when you're always wrong, it doesn't matter. No, I don't like that. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you come from, who you are. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Bottom line, but that's not how everybody look at it. Yeah. Yeah. So, that's how I see it, y'all. That's just my 2 cents on it. I guess we'll see in the next coming weeks how this all plays out. If the jurors look at it for what it is, or whatever comes out in that, whatever the information is, whatever the facts are, that's what you're supposed to go on. That's as you're supposed to look at the facts and give your your statements or whatever about the case based on the facts, whatever those facts are. If the facts show that they approached this guy and they shouldn't have, and they started fighting him and they were the aggressors and he defended himself, that would be self-defense. If that's what happened and they see it for what it is, don't let race be a factor. That's how it's supposed to be. It shouldn't be based off of race. It should be based on the facts and according to the laws. You know what I'm saying? And so, once again, they're going to have to argue. Listen, if the Metcalf had never approached him, if they had never, none of this would have happened. All of this, because he didn't go seeking them out. If he was a psychopath and he was running around wielding a knife around and hurting people, yeah, then he should have been arrested, clearly. But that wasn't the case. So it shouldn't be about race, but we know a lot of things are. It should be based on the facts, the evidence, what's there, and look at it. Don't look at it, it's because he's white and he just look at it for what it is and how you would look at it based on any race of person. I always say, listen, if you want to be treated a certain way, look at how you treat people. So if this was your child, if this was a situation where your child was being bullied, if your child was minding their business, your white son or your white daughter was sitting there minding their business, and a group of people came over and told them, you need to leave. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm meeting a friend. I don't have to leave. I know I don't have to leave. Leave me alone. I'm not bothering nobody. And then they proceed to say, no, you got to leave and push your child and bully your child and push your child out and start fighting your child. And your child defended themselves and struck one of them. How would you feel? How would you feel if they did that to your child? Would you say, oh, your child's in the wrong because they defended themselves? Or would you say it was justifiable because a group of them was jumping on him or her and for no reason? So we gonna see how it all turns out. I would say if the justice system has shown to be biased in regards to race, and there's always a target on Black community back. Plus, we're incapable of changing the bias in the justice system. Why not the Black community leave the country and go to where we're more welcome? I mean, this is the country where most Black people are from. Why is it that would you say that if those folks have the problem with other people for no reason, shouldn't they go back to where they came from? Why is it that Black people have to be met with going back from where this is where we're from? Why do we have to leave where we're from because other people don't know how to have a problem with us? We don't have the problem. Most Black people don't have a problem with white folks or other people. This country is not built on Black people discriminating and having racial biases against white folks or any other. We have not been the problem. We're a small percentage, and our numbers have been consistent for a long time. So why is it that we are always met with, oh, we go somewhere where nobody likes black, all over the world, people have a problem with black people. So there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And even when black people had their own situation, had their own areas, they came and messed with them and messed that up. Black people had their own communities, their own banks, their own establishments, and they blew that the fuck up. So why? So there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, nowhere you go. Even when you go and have your own, they followed us there. So you can run and go where black people are hated across the board. Everywhere black people go, somebody got a problem with us, and we don't be bothering nobody. Yes, every group of people have their degenerates. We have a group of people in our culture who are considered the bottom of the barrel, the degenerates who need to do better. But that's not the majority of us. Just like every other group have that as well. You don't see these other groups with the people with the teeth missing, don't wear no shoes, black feet, running around living in the trailer parks, broke as hell on meth. Everybody got that. Everybody got their groups of degenerates, but just because of that, does that mean we all need to be treated in an inhumane way? This country is built on racism. We ain't going nowhere. We this is where we're from. Why do we gotta always go somewhere? Because people have if you got whoever has the problem need to go. Go somewhere because you can't get whoever can't get your mind set on the fact that you don't have control over or dominion over black people. That black people are no longer your property. We don't owe you owe them a goddamn thing. We don't have to go anywhere. No, seems to me they are the ones who got to get it together and understand that black people are no longer your property. You don't control niggas. You can't always tell people to go somewhere. And this is where we're from. We're not from Africa. We're not from nowhere else. This is our homeland. Why we gotta go when we don't bother nobody? We're just trying to live our lives and take care of our families and mind our goddamn business. And in doing so, people are still trying to push narratives onto us and lie on us and cause problems. There's a history of that, and it's still happening to this day. And I'm one who don't give a shit about race, because I know that I know some good white people who have no problem with black people. Don't bother them. Don't do none of that. But I know that there are some who have a problem. You can't stand to see niggas living their lives and enjoying and doing good, because this country has taught them to be that way. They've taught them to believe that they're superior against niggas. Y'all superior over black people, and you got to control them and tell them what to do. Something bothers you, when black people are living good and they're not bothering you. That's the part. They need to get something in their heads to understand these people ain't bothering you. If they're not bothering you, leave them alone. They're just trying to live their life. Why? What is with because it's not all, some white folks and others that you hate black people so bad you gotta go messing with them? I don't understand that. Right. This land does not belong to white people. The Native Americans were here first. Right. I don't understand the issue. If you have a problem with folks, you go, find a place where you can be to yourself. Shit. Go find an area where you don't have to deal with nobody that look like you. And I don't think nobody has a problem with that. And once again, I'll say it again. Black people have had their own banks, own communities, their own things. They came in and tore that apart. Destroyed whole communities. People were shocked to realize Central Park, all of these areas that we see now were black. A lot of the black communities, they put railroads and they put bridges right in front of the communities, dismantled the communities, blew up the communities, dismantled, flooded communities, killed a lot of people, ran these people away from their own areas, and then act like it never exists. They got an obsession with messing with black people, when black people, for the most part, don't bother nobody. What's the obsession? I don't understand that. And there's history of it. We even see to this day You see black people mind their business. Somebody got to walk up. Who are you? Do you belong here? Belong here? Do you belong here? Do you belong here? I haven't seen you, so I need to know where you live. You ain't got to know where I live. Like this is the problem. This is a problem that they have. Why we got? They need to go somewhere. Go find somewhere where they can live, so they can be at peace with not seeing black people being happy. Deleted us and then turned the whole town into a lake. Exactly. I mean, there's so many areas that were black communities that they dismantled, destroyed, took out people, but somehow black people are always the problem. But this history has shown a history of white folks being the majority of the problem. This is why I don't understand why everybody's so racist and hatred toward black folks when the history doesn't show black people committing all these atrocities. It don't show black people in mass committing atrocities all over the world. It doesn't show that, but it shows them. But this is what people want to acquiesce to. People are so brainwashed to think white is right. You want to go run up under them and be just like them. But they have done things to hurt even your people, Asians, Indians, all these folks. If we really want to be honest, these folks don't really like y'all either. But y'all want to us. But as people say, folks have a issue with running towards the thing that hurts them. And then it's a misguided energy towards us because we're the what you call it? We're the ones the picking the ones you want to pick on all the time because it's easy. And a lot of people are putting their frustrations out on us because you can't really direct it to who you really want to direct it to because you believe that they're the superior ones and they're the ones in power, so you want to be like them, so you can't really direct your anger towards them because they're the ones who you should be mad at, not us. They're racist towards certain black folks because we are the true Indians. They reward others for messing with blacks. I mean, it's just crazy. It's an obsession with black people, And this is why this is Lake Lanier. Exactly. They do it to trigger black people to get them to react. Right. I'm not African. Biggest lie ever told. I'm Native American. And so, four people jumped Karmelo. That's what it seems like they're saying, y'all. But once again, there's always that narrative. I mean, and black people could certainly tell white folks, hey, you go back to where you came from. Where did you come from? Because y'all weren't originally here either. But that's what they'll say. And I just think that is crazy. You know what I mean? And so I just think, listen, my thing is right is right, wrong is wrong. I don't give a care if you black, brown, blue, purple, green. Right is right, right is wrong. But some people see right as wrong and wrong as right. Some people don't see it the way that they should. Everybody have a different lens of where they're looking from. And if you have been a group of people who have always been privileged and always had, had looked at as right, no matter what you do, then that's going to cause a problem because no matter what you do, you're considered right in the eyes of your people. So you can go and do something, commit all types of atrocities. And if they go, this has been a country where they upheld you for lying, going to take people's lives, going hanging people and doing all these things. Well, these people didn't deserve it. What's the difference now? It's a modern way of doing it now. This history, the history of this country tells you everything you need to know about racism, discrimination, all of it, entitlements, all of it. We can't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? And while we have progressed, a lot of things have still stayed the same. To this day, you still finding people being hung. I just saw a video of this young girl who was found hung. Now we know she didn't hang herself. That's something that most black people didn't do. We wasn't into hanging each other or hanging ourselves. That's not the way, we would take ourselves out. But we still to this day, and lynching laws are still on the books. They haven't taken those off the books to say that is illegal or that's not something you should do. They say lynching laws are still on the books. So somebody is still out here doing this. So, I mean, the justice system is what it is. It's not so just as we see. And nobody is trying to put any type of laws in place that will protect Black people. Why? Because that would go against the history of this country. You put laws on the books that will protect Black people, then what else do you have? That's almost like that seems to have been the American way. So how are we gonna take that off? We can't do that. That's why nobody is trying to do it. We can't put legislation that will say, hey, you cannot go and just hurt a Black person. Oh no, because then what? That's almost built into the fabric of this country. That, oh my God, that's been the history. Why would we change that? We wouldn't be American if that was the case. But then you don't do anything like that. But then also you realize the history of this country and how bad it looks. The more it's pulled up and people, these younger generation of people start to see the atrocities and the things that has been done, deep rooted evil things. And then they feel embarrassed behind it. You feel embarrassed behind the history too. You want to hide it. You want to cover it up. You want to act like it didn't exist because it shows how heinous a lot of these people have been. And that is horrible. And everybody else that you're trying to paint out as horrible or not as horrible as you have been. So this is why they try to rewrite history and change it. Oh, slavery was a fun thing. It wasn't really what it was. Oh, slaves actually had fun. Like, you know what I mean? Try to change the history books, delete a lot of stuff because y'all are embarrassed by it. And try to change it. And a lot of these young people don't even know the history because they've removed it, stripped it from out of the history books. And made it look like it was something more, acceptable. Because you don't want people to know the real truth. Because once they really know the real truth, they look how they'll start looking at the real who's done some evil shit. Who's really where the history of the people who've done evil shit? While you trying to paint a narrative that Black people are just these evil, history does not show that. I don't give a damn how anybody try to put it. History does not show that. And while once again, I'm not a person to look at you and determine whether you're a good or bad person by your race. I'm looking at who you are as a person, what you do, how you treat people, how you are as a person. Not about your skin color. And that's what Black people have been judged off of for years. There's just simply your skin color. Oh, you're Black, so you're horrible, you're evil. Black is evil, white is good. Child, nah. But anyway, I don't know, how we done got all into that. Yeah, that's just my take on it. Listen, I guess we're gonna see how this whole situation pans out, y'all. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. We can look at the evidence as well, and have our takes on it. Everybody gonna have their opinion, as you should. Everybody gonna have their opinion, as you should. I can't tell people how to think. I can't tell you how to move. I'm not trying to. I'm just giving my little 2 cents, and that's it. And if information came out that Karmelo was the aggressor or is the aggressor, okay, and he needs to be dealt with. I don't give a damn who. Like I said, I don't care if you white, black, blue, green, or brown. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But if the people who are making the decisions have a different interpretation of what's wrong versus what's right, then we got a whole nother problem. When we all should know right from wrong. If I go out here and approach somebody and I'm the aggressor and I'm approaching innocent people the way this Chud, the builder, was doing, approaching people, starting shit, then you need to be locked up. But there are people who pushing it back against that too. They think he's right. Using freedom of speech as a way to go antagonize people. See, that's another thing. He's in jail as he should be because you're going out here antagonizing people who ain't even bothering you. So when you're going to approach and antagonize folks who ain't doing you nothing, then you need to be held accountable. I think we all know that, right? Am I wrong? I think we're not that lost and confused and that dumb to not understand right from wrong, to know that if you're going out here approaching people, antagonizing people, you're the aggressor, then you need to be the one dealt with. I mean, come on. Santiago Bond 964. Thank you for the super chat. Says, thanks for sharing your thoughts on this, DeeDee. Thank you. I appreciate it. Listen, that's just my thoughts, Thank you. I appreciate you for the support and for your commentary. Yeah, I just, I don't have a problem with nobody. Like I say, me and my husband, we have friends of different races. I have, white folks in my family, right? In the lineage of my family. I don't give a damn. I don't care if you're white, blue, purple, green. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But people feel like, I'm just saying, like, I don't give a damn. You're right, you're right, you're wrong, you're wrong. It shouldn't be about race. It should be about the person and your actions, period. And that's where we need to get to. So hopefully, you know what I mean, if this jury is going to do the right thing, if that's the evidence, because we don't have I don't have all of the evidence in front of me. If all of the evidence shows that this guy was approached, which they're saying he was approached, everybody is consistent with that. He was approached, he was under a tent by himself. The others came, and next thing, a fight ensued or whatever, and they were the aggressors and pushed him. And then that is self-defense, in my opinion. If that wasn't the case, if he had done something else that was out of line or whatever, he started hitting them and pushing them first because they came into the space and he didn't want them there. If that was the case, then he would be in the wrong, in my opinion. Because anybody could share those tents. So if they came over there and he started telling them something, and he was the aggressor, then yeah, and then he did that, then he would be at fault. But once again, hopefully they look at the information, look at all of it, and don't use race as a factor, but go in there and look at it for what it is. If the U.S. is a hostile environment for Black community and our community is unable to go back to the motherland, Africa, what do you mean go back? Oh, as far as because I've never been to Africa and my ancestors are not from Africa. We're not from Africa. We didn't come from there to go back. But I get what you're saying. Hostile because let's see, community and our community is unable to go back to the motherland, Africa. We truly are a lost, detached culture. But we already are we've never been connected to Africa, a lot of us. That's another thing. I'm not from Africa. My mother is not from Africa. My grandmother is not from Africa. My great great grandmother is not from Africa. My great 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 father grandfathers and grandmothers are not from Africa. They're all from here. So there's no going back to. This is it. There's no going back because my ancestors are not from we're not. I guess you mean, like, I get what you're saying. But my lineage that we could trace is all from here. I think all the way from like the 1600s. So you know what I mean? I get what you're saying. And then somebody said we of different tribe. Right. 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 So I'm not I have no connection to Africa or African customs, cultures, because my lineages, as far as I could go far, far, are from here. We could trace them from here, not from Africa. So I know what you mean. Like the lineage may be way, 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 way back. But as far as my people, we can trace them from America. Now, I guess I know what you're saying because we keep going, yes. But as far as I know, we're rooted from here. Um, but I get what you're saying. They're not going to be fair, hence all white jury. Somebody says, agreed. Did he actually get jumped by multiple people, or did one dude get into it with him? They're saying he got jumped. That's all I'm saying. They're saying there's video of him getting jumped. But I guess, listen, we he says, I heard both. I guess, look, all we can do is watch to see what happens. That's it, child. All we can do is watch to see what happens. Whatever happens, happens. There's nothing we can do about it. We can't change the minds of the jury. Whatever they see is what they see. Whatever they do, they do. All I can say is, look, no matter who you are, you just got to be careful out here in these streets. Keep your distance. You know what I mean? Don't do nothing crazy. Watch your back. This is why I'm glad we homeschooled our children, so they avoided that kind of foolishness. Because you have to do things to protect your family and yours, because you just never know what's out here, child. You could be minding your business and not bothering anybody, and they bring it to you. And this is why you got to try to avoid these types of things, you know. And sometimes people don't do that, but if you just want to stay out of the foolishness, just avoid it, you know. If you see a group of people coming your way, just go the other way, just to avoid it. Sometimes it's better to do that than. But at some point, you know, in certain situations you cannot avoid it, and you have to be ready to defend yourself. You can't always just cower and run. You know, there's certain situations where you are forced to defend yourself. You know, so you know. But is there a point in your genealogy that goes back to Africa? Yeah, Africa and other places as well. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yes, Michael, yes. Other places as well too, not just Africa. Uh it's not an all white jury. There are Asians, there are Indians, and there are Hispanics on the jury. Nice try with the professional victimhood though. Saying the overreach of racism, race bias will get an appeal. Okay, y'all. Listen, y'all. Look, we gonna see what happens. That's all I can say. Look, it's out of our hands. It's never been our hands. It's not in nobody's control, but the people there, and the evidence that they see, how they see it, how they view it, and how they want to vote. That's that. I mean, you know. So all I can say is protect yourself, watch your back, your children. You know, you and who they hanging around. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from the crowds and potential harm or danger or whatever. Try not to put yourself in a position to where you have to defend yourself. You got to defend yourself. But if it's something you can avoid it. That's all I can say. Because who wants to be in this type of situation? This is unfortunate on both sides, you know. American this land has been around as long as Africa, right? More information coming to light that Karmelo acted in self-defense. One stab wound is not enough for 1-degree unaliving charge. He will walk. So Dark, I don't know, Nova Scar, I hope I'm saying that right, saying he will walk. And that's another thing that was pointing out too. He didn't just go crazy. It was one time, and then he was, so they're saying he's saying he think he will walk. No victimhood here. Most of those other races are just as racist. It was fair. It was fair. Blacks would be on the. If it was fair, blacks would be on the jury. I get what he's saying. Ninth intellect. Yeah. So Dark Nova saying he thinks he's gonna walk. I guess we'll see. I mean, everybody has an idea of what they think is fair and what's not. So I guess we'll see, y'all. There's nothing else we can do about it. Listen, I just wish these types of situations wouldn't occur, and that people know how to, know how to act in public and how to mind their business and just go do your own thing. And that young man would be alive if he hadn't went over there to that tent to approach that guy. He would be alive. If they just went over there and maybe they went over and was curious about why he was there or whatever, then walked away, he would be alive. This guy wouldn't be sitting up here being charged with murder. Do you believe there's a correlation between how the Black community is viewed in the U.S. in 2026 and how the Black community is viewed via social media, entertainment sector? Do I believe that there's a correlation between how the Black community is viewed in the U.S. and you mean in the U.S. and everywhere, and how the Black community is viewed via social media? It is. I believe that there's a correlation. For sure. Yeah, I think the social media. Social media is no different from the world. The world is on social media. So yes, people have biases. People have ideas of what they think of the Black community, even if they haven't even experienced the Black culture or any parts of it. So yeah, I think there is a correlation. I think people of the world, all over the world, get on social media and they have their opinions about Black people, about the Black community, and a lot of it is not positive. A lot of it is negative. But a lot of this, like it's always have been, a lot of the ideas or the thoughts about Black people in the community comes from people who have never experienced it. It's only from hearsay. It's what's been taught to them. It's what's been told to them. The same way about Africans who come into this country, and Indians, Asians, and other people who come into this country. They're taught to hate Black people. They're taught that they shouldn't hang around us, that we're criminals and that we're bad. These people, this is taught behavior. People all over the world have been told that black people are criminals and this and that, and they're harmful and this. So a lot of people come into this country with that idea, and they just hate us just based off of how we've been portrayed in the media, what people have told them about us. The same way racism was taught. It's not an inherent thing. It's what you teach. It's how you teach your young kids about black people. Oh my God, they're this and they're that. It's a taught behavior. So all these people are taught to have a certain opinion about us when we're not all the same. We're not all grouped into this one way of living and thinking, just like any other group of people. But then a lot of those people come to this country, and then they've been discriminated against too. A lot of Africans who come here are discriminated against by the police. Indians and Asians have been discriminated against by white people, have been discriminated against by white folks and others as well. But they're not taught to look at them in that way. So even though they've been treated poorly, they still have this idea that white is right and black is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, and even if they haven't experienced that, see, now on the other hand, listen, I could say that my husband and I have been discriminated by others, right? But see, that is not the narrative. We have examples of being discriminated against by other people. We've never done anything to anybody, but we have definitely been done something to by other groups. But if I say, as a black person, I've never discriminated against anybody. I've never went and called somebody outside their name. But we've been called out our name. We've been called nigger. Okay. And actually destroyed our property with that term on it when we moved to Texas. So we've been discriminated against in a few ways. But that is not the narrative when we've done nothing to anybody. That's what I'm saying. We just a black family who mind our business, where people felt the need to discriminate against us when we've done you nothing. So if anything, we should have a bias. We should have a hatred toward those folks who did something to us that we did nothing to. And that's typically the case. When black people are just living their lives, we've got our family, we ain't bothering nobody, ain't never thought to bother nobody, but people will bother you. There's been a few occasions where people have done something to us of a different race, and we've never done you anything. So if anything, black people should have a problem with those folks who's discriminated against us, because we ain't done shit to you. We should look at those group of people and say, oh my God, I can't stand their goddamn guts. Why? Because you did something to me. I ain't do shit to you. But we don't even feel that way, because we know that that's not the majority of people. We know that everybody don't think like that. We know that everybody is not racist. We know that the majority of all the people don't think like that. But you got people out here who hate black people, and no black person has never done anything to them. They have no cause or reason or rhyme to hate a black person, but you do because somebody told you to. But when we have examples of people doing shit to us that we've never done nothing to, so we should be racist against them, right? See, that's the part they don't want to talk about. As a black woman, I ain't never done nothing to nobody. My husband ain't never done nothing to nobody. Nobody outside our race or nothing. But they've definitely done things that will be considered discrimination towards us. For what? For us living our lives being black? I didn't ask to be black. I'm black. I didn't choose. But see, that's why this racism stuff is crazy. And this is why, it's always going to be a problem, though. If people's opinion of the black community can be pointed back to our image via social media, entertainment sector shouldn't be focused on auto-correcting that, rewriting our narrative. Correct, but the event/property did have a no weapons rule. I'm hearing different opinions on that. One minute people saying, I never thought I don't know about that, child. Y'all going into something deeper. I don't know. Some people are saying that it was okay to you could have a weapon, and some saying it wasn't outside. They weren't inside the school. It was outside. I used to run track, and you have the field. So I don't know if that was a okay place to have a weapon or not. I don't know. Anyway, once again, y'all going deeper than I intended to, because I don't have all that information. But listen, keep giving y'all thoughts on it. Keep speaking out on it, y'all. I guess maybe we'll be back with an update if once we get all of the information and the outcome, the verdicts or whatever, then we could talk about it again from there, y'all. But listen, I appreciate y'all opinions. I appreciate y'all chiming in. I appreciate y'all giving y'all thoughts. But that's what it's all about. You should be able to give your opinions and your thoughts and be heard. That's it. Everybody ain't gonna think the same, but it's okay. It's okay. We gotta live our lives and live the best we can, and that's it, child. I don't really be getting too deep into all this stuff because I know people are very opinionated about these types of things. But at the end of the day, you gotta live your life. Keep living. You don't let people stop you from living. You don't let people stop you from having a good time and it being you. And that's it. And that's that. Successful MD says, I had a racist security guard at Top Golf that tried to get me arrested. He tried to provoke me, but I had him being recorded on a 911 call. He failed. Exactly. And this is why this is why I said record interactions. There's different recorders. There's different cameras that you have. If that's the recourse you have to take, you got to take it. And that's why we're firm believers of that. Recording conversations, for sure. That way you can protect yourself. Because, baby, they'll have you hemmed up for doing nothing and then lie on you. And make it seem like you did something, you did nothing. So you got to protect yourself. So that's the only thing that I can say. Protect yourself, record it, have your information, and then take it to use the proper channels to defend yourself, at which you can. I agree. Thank you, Successful MD. I appreciate you. His story teaches a lie that blacks in the U.S. are here solely by way of slavery, which is a lie. Child, there's a lot. Night Intellect. There's a lot of things that people have lied about, to be honest, and people are finding out. Yeah, good for you to record and being smart in that situation. I agree, Brian. Yeah, I think you have to be. They want you to not defend yourself while they mow down entire crowds of people with military grade weapons. That's crazy. That is crazy. Crazy. Yeah. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm surprised I was on here for 2 hours talking about this, child. But thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Listen, shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody who gave a super chat. I appreciate y'all for that because you didn't have to. Also, shout out to everybody who in the building. Hit the like button on your way out, y'all. Listen, I guess we're gonna do an update once they come up with the verdict. We'll do an update and I'll get y'all take on that. What y'all thoughts on it? Some people claim he gonna walk. Some people claim he ain't walking, child. He going to jail. So I don't know what's gonna come out of it, but I definitely will be back with the update once we get the verdict. I'm not gonna go throughout all of it because that's just going. I don't have time for that. I'd rather wait till the verdict is out, and then we'll discuss it. And I want to get your thoughts on it once we get that. All right. No problem, Brian. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I appreciate you. Dark Nova Scar. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you saying he will walk free. I guess I'm gonna hold you to that. So when we come back once the verdict is out, we could talk about it. All right. So yeah. Thank y'all once again for being here. I appreciate you guys. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Y'all be safe out here in the streets, and I'll see y'all. I'll be back here soon, y'all, with my regular scheduled programming, of course. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you guys have that notification bell turned on. Stay tuned, y'all. If you are watching the videos, watch the videos that are already posted on the channel, y'all. Like them, share them if you can. Leave a comment just to let me know it's real, y'all. Make sure you are supporting in that way. And if you are here and you like the content but you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's free to subscribe, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, y'all. I appreciate you guys so much for the commentary, for the back and forth. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Y'all be safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Mwah. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Bye.
Welcome to the show. Everybody is Dee. I'm glad you're here. Let's get into some things. I hope you're ready, cause this is what I do. It's all about different perspectives in here. Where you gon' get the real, no BS in here. We keep it real as we can. You can tell your truth and feel comfortable here. DeeDeesReactions, videos and live things. It's DeeDeesReactions.